go up on here, or you could take a double-decker bus and drive across the Tower Bridge. There's the Shard over here on the left, the tallest building. This one in the middle that's kind of odd shaped, that's called the Walkie-Talkie, which is kind of interesting. And there's just the Gherkin. There's so many great places to walk around the River Thames. Food, culture, theater, music, parks, museums. There's so many great opportunities, and you're just a short hop, skip, and a jump from a lot of other places that you could see within England and beyond. All right, so let's first share with you one of our major partner in this opportunity is a company called AIFS. In the world of study abroad, AIFS is one of the leading players in the logistics of study abroad, and they're an amazing partner to work with. So they are the study abroad organization supporting this program. They've been working just with our consortium since the 80s, but they've been in operation since the 60s and helping a lot of students in many different countries throughout the world. They provide support through a local program coordinator for our students and with their study center, which we'll talk more about in a few minutes. And their staff is there for us at any point in time for any incident response or crisis management should we need it. And I'll talk more about that later on. All right, so this screen here in front of you are some important key dates. And if you have the time to take or the ability to take a screenshot or a picture, I'd recommend it. This shows you the general schedule for the study abroad program, which is modified from our traditional semester length program at home. So students in general need to depart the US by September 3rd to arrive in London at the latest by Friday, the 4th of September. So note that's later, sorry for the phone, later for than our normal operation of middle October. There's a orientation on Saturday, September 5th, and a workshop and city tour on Sunday, September 6th. That is because AIFS really wants to give you the best kind of like understanding of London and to get you oriented for success. And that's really the value they try to provide for all of us that first weekend. Our classes begin Monday, September 7th, and classes are offered 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, in person at the AIFS location, which I'll show you some pictures soon. We do have a mid-semester break in mid to late October. And the last day of class is Thursday, December 3rd, with the end of the program on Friday, December 4th, and departure from London. So you'll note that the program starts a little later than the normal semester and ends a little earlier. That's very common for study abroad programs. Now, I mentioned the AIFS Study Center. Here's a photo here on the right. We have classrooms and student services in an area called Kensington in the heart of London. There's two buildings that AIFS shares with us, a Taylor House and a Young Street location. One is smaller with multiple classrooms, and one is a larger lecture hall. There's a student lounge, computer, and printer access there for students to use. And of course, they have that students services staff that I mentioned earlier available in the location, but also 24/7 emergency contact. So a lot of amazing support for students. The staff will coordinate those things I mentioned, like orientation, classroom facilities, the housing, which I'll mention in a few moments, other great exceptional cultural activities and excursions, as well as student advising and counseling as needed. So there's a lot of support through AIFS. If you take a look at the screen in front of you, on the left, you'll see a picture of one of their offices, and on the right are two pictures of some of the classrooms. So it's a great facility. I had a friend that also studied at AIFS in Kensington, and they loved it. They couldn't speak, well enough about it. They just loved it. Now on your screen here is a map in the middle of London. Up here on the top is Hyde Park. And AIFS's offices are here in the heart of Kensington, and about a 10-minute walk away is that larger lecture hall here. So you're near the Natural History Museum, the Victoria and Albert Museum, Buckingham Palace is, still a bit of a walk, but not that far away. And part of the River Thames is here on the bottom. So central London, you're in the heart of the action. It's great. Now, this is an academic program, so let's make sure we understand what the academic options are and how this has really been planned well for students. Courses that have been selected are UC and CSU transferable. They meet general education requirements, so even while you're studying abroad, you can move forward with your academic plans. Students are required to enroll in a 3-unit British Life and Culture course. plus three other courses for a total of 12 units in this semester-long program. At least two of those total of four courses will be with me, Professor Nance, that British Life and Culture class, and then also at least one business class. Then the other two classes you can pick from the selection of courses across all four faculty members, which I'll share with you in just a moment. But basically, it's kind of exciting. London is our classroom. There's so much to see and to do, so much that's culturally embedded in all of the different disciplines that you are going to learn so much in class and also outside of class. All right. So first, let's talk about that British Life and Culture class. This is a class that helps students better understand the culture and society of London itself, but also the broader United Kingdom. You'll have a mixture of lectures and field trips on different topics. So think about things about history, art and architecture, politics and society, gastronomy if you love food, different customs and traditions. So it's a 3 unit course and it is required for all students, and you do have to pay tuition for this class. But it really is such a great wraparound part of your education to help you understand different cultural aspects of London and the UK. Now, the next 4 slides, I'm going to show you or tell you about the faculty member that's going and the classes they're teaching. So I'm going to start first with myself. I'm Candace Nance. I'll be offering a variety of business courses for you to choose from. The first one is Business 100, Introduction to Business. It's a great theory course covering a little bit about a lot of different areas of business. I'll also be teaching Business 101, Human Relations in the Workplace. Super interactive class. It's a great topic about all of the many sides of activities within the workplace. And then, of course, being overseas, I can't help but offer Business 125 International Business, super contextualized in this global curriculum. And then, of course, British Life and Culture. Now, let me introduce John Corbally. These are students on the right, so it's not a picture of John, but John is British himself from Contra Costa Community College. He's a history professor. So if you're looking to meet or fulfill a history requirement, general ed requirement, he will be your man. He is offering a history of Western civilization course since the Renaissance, also a contemporary European history course. How amazing is that to learn about these things while we're in Europe itself? And then world history since 1500. So you might have an option there if you need to fulfill a history requirement. Now, Trang Abid is one of my colleagues from Los Rios Community College District. She is an English professor and she's offering 3 courses within English. The first one is English literature from the late 18th century through the present. She's also offering women in literature. And her third option is Introduction to Dramatic Literature. So again, if you're looking to fulfill an English general ed requirement, something that Trang is offering should definitely meet that for you. And last but not least is Justin Smith. He comes from Santa Rosa Junior College. He is a theater professor. On the right, you'll see an interior shot of the Globe Theater, which is a replica of Shakespeare's Globe Theater, and it sits right on the River Thames. It's an amazing cultural artifact. So the courses you could take here are Introduction to Theater Arts with Justin, Multicultural Theater, and an interesting option is the Introduction to Theater Management. All great classes. Justin runs theater productions himself, and there are a ton of options in London to go see in the West End, different theater shows and lots of different shows to your taste. Another great schedule or screenshot or photo to take is this here in front of you. This is our class schedule in London. Like I mentioned, it's Monday through Thursday in person. And you can see generally classes go from 8:30 in the morning up until 5:35. So the life class is on Monday, Wednesdays from 5:30. Kind of, all right. So what else does AIFS and our study abroad program offer you as a student? One option is the student union membership at the Imperial College Student Union. The membership is included and it's a short distance away from the AIFS Study Center, just a 5-minute walk. Students can join hundreds of different clubs, have the join from 100, well, a bunch of clubs. You have an option where you could purchase access to a gym and a pool. Zed, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I think I don't know if it's on my end, but you broke up in the
Ah,
last part. If anyone else, you can raise your hand or if it's just my reception.
I think it's on my side. I saw something come up quick about internet instability.
Okay.
So is it just this slide or should I go back to something else?
I think it's just this slide.
Sure, sure, sure. Thank you. So students get have the will get the option and to be members of the Imperial College Student Union, which you can see a photo here on your screen. A short 5-minute walk away from AIFS's location in Kensington. Options to join clubs, participate in sport activities, and if you're looking for a gym or a pool for fitness reasons, you can also pay an additional fee to join some of those there. But there's shops, pubs, cafe, really a lot of social opportunities for you to integrate in with the local student society. AIFS also offers different cultural activities, and they'll provide a weekly calendar of free or subsidized activities. So, activities where the price has been reduced for students. Think about great options like sporting events, rugby, soccer, a bunch of different sporting events to attend, a variety of walking tours, think like through Camden or other areas in London, options to go to various theater or dance events, and also options to go on day trips. So, like Stonehenge and Bath, going to Brighton, Cambridge or Oxford, also Stratford upon Avon. So, there's a lot of options for you to get out and see activities, not just on your own, but also with other students. Now, one of the most important things or questions that students have is, well, where do I live while I'm in London? And AIFS has two options for you. The standard option or default option is with what we call a homestay, where you actually get to live with a British family in London. You'll stay with another roommate in a twin bedroom in a local homestay. These are vetted families and homes, so they're really passionate about helping students who are living there internationally. You'll be in zone 3 or 4. So London is kind of an oval circular city. So there's zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, and zone 4. The homes are likely to be in zone 3 or 4, which is a standard commute of 45 to 60 minutes with public transportation. Included in the homestay is a daily continental breakfast. So think things like toast, cereal, coffee, tea, these self-service items. And you get access to a shared kitchen, a shared living space, and of course, laundry facilities. You'll have access to Wi-Fi, and the homestay is included in the program fee. Now, if for whatever reason you think, well, maybe staying with a home family or homestay is not my cup of tea, you could level up to a student residence. So that is still a roommate option in a shared twin bedroom residence. It's in zone 2, so a little bit closer, but it's still about 45 minutes of commute time on public transportation. Still easy to get to AIFS. There's a kitchenette that you'll have access to, an ensuite bathroom, a shared study and living area, and of course, laundry facilities and Wi-Fi. We can't live without Wi-Fi today. But meals are not included, so you would not get the continental breakfast. Now, if you decide the student residence option is better for you, then there is a supplemental fee of $2,995. Now, in general, I'm a big advocate for the homestay because you get that cultural embedding with a family who lives in London already, and they're so great at recommending local things for you to see and do. But if you have a preference to maybe have dietary restrictions that you prefer to be on your own and cook on your own, or you want more freedom to come and go as you please, there is still freedom with your homestay, but you don't have to be there all the time or be out all the time. But if you just prefer that student residence option, know that it's there for you. If you take a look at your screen now, you'll see some photos of the homestay option. On the left is a semi-detached house, which is like a three-level house that shares a wall with another house. On the upper right corner is their living room space, yeah, living room. And on the bottom right is an example of kind of your host family sharing a meal with you. I lived with the host family in Cambridge when I went to Cambridge University. They would have barbecues, they'd have meals, they'd always just kind of invite me to do things. And I'm still in contact with them now today. I'll go see my host family several times while we're out there. They came out to my wedding a while ago, and I went out to their son's wedding recently. So it's just, I mean, I've known them for a very long time. It's been one of the best parts of studying abroad. Now, if you're interested in the student residence, take a look at the screen in front of you. On the left is a photo of the shared kitchenette space. The upper right is the exterior of the residences, and on the lower right is an example of one of the rooms. So again, very modern, very clean. It has everything that you need as a student. Now, if you're like, well, how am I going to get around London? The one way you're not going to get around is by driving, right? You're not going to be driving in London. And part of the program, it actually includes the Oyster card, which is a transportation pass. So we're already thinking about how can you get around, and it's already provided for you. The Oyster Pass is good for buses and the underground, which is the tube, or what we call like a metro. The lower right-hand photo there is a map of the tube. It's great because you could use it not just to go to class, but also on nights and weekends. So your transportation around London is really easy. And if you have your cell phone, Google Maps will get you wherever you need to go. It's so easy now to get around in London. And you can use it anytime you want. So it's a great option. What you can't use it for is if you're traveling like an overground train to Cambridge for the weekend, for example. That's a separate ticket. All right, so let's talk about what's included in the program fee. So we mentioned the homestay with that continental breakfast, access to the kitchen, laundry, Wi-Fi, etc. Or you could level up to the student residence and pay the supplemental fee. You get the transportation pass included in the program fee, membership to the Imperial College Student Union with access to student clubs, the option to purchase into a gym or pool membership, and also that great AIFS study center and their staff services with that 24-hour emergency contact. So let's say you get sick while you're out in London and you're not sure how to navigate the pharmacies or getting medication. AIFS will know exactly how to help you with that and make sure you get what you need. They're amazing. You'll have that orientation program that first weekend to get you set up for success and workshops, plus that guided tour of London. And then access to those weekly subsidized activities in London and the surrounding region. Medical insurance is included and pre-departure services and an orientation with the program before we leave. So all of that, the program fee is $10,195 for the entire 3 months. And then there's a supplement of $2,995. When you think about the cost of London, it's actually a very reasonable price for everything that you're getting. And it's a fabulous opportunity to live in the heart of Europe. But just to help you set up with success, I also want to make sure we talk about what do you need to budget for? What's not included in that program fee? So here are some additional costs just to plan for. Think about travel. So your airfare to and from London is not included, but we do offer an optional AIFS group flight, which I'll talk about in a minute, and it's a great option for the majority of students. But your airfare is on your own. Either opt into the group flight or purchase your own airfare. Note that you can go early and stay late. So they're up to a certain amount. So there is flexibility there if you wanted to go visit any friends you had in Europe or go see something first or stay a little later. There is flexibility in the program for that. And in terms of academics, you're still responsible for your community college tuition. If you're a student who receives promise funds, some of that will pay for your home district tuition. Textbooks are a cost you have to cover for, but myself and a lot of my colleagues, we've already adopted OER textbooks, which are free textbooks for students to use. And then think about daily life, right? Those additional meals outside of the breakfast for the homestay are all on your own. Any personal expenses, so your shopping, other traveling you do, like if you go to Paris, if you go to Edinburgh, wherever you're going to go, Rome, passport fees, if you still need to collect your passport, those are all on your own. And then there is an option to purchase trip protection insurance that AIFS offers. So that's up to you if that's a good fit for what you would like, but that is offered as a service, but it's an additional fee. All right, let's talk about that group flight because recently the price for the flight came out. It's around, you could purchase if you want into the AIFS group flight, which is a round trip group flight. The outbound flight leaves San Francisco on September 3rd at 4:25 and arrives in London the next day. It's about an 11-hour flight, but with the time change, you're there the next day at 11 a.m. You would return and leave, so you depart London on December 4th at 11:45 a.m. And because of the time change, you arrive at home at 3 o'clock. Again, it's a 10 or 11-hour flight. It's a direct flight, which I love because you can't get lost in a transfer or lose your luggage in a transfer. Um, and once you arrive in London, one of the great things about the group flight is that once you get to London, AIFS staff will pick you up and take you to wherever you're staying, at the homestay or the student residence. And they'll do that again when you leave. And it's through British Airways, which is a very reputable airline. They have great customer service, and the price is 8.55. So that's actually very affordable for going to London. And the sooner you sign up and secure that flight, if that's interested, of interest to you, because the price could fluctuate, but so the sooner you commit and purchase into that flight, the more likely it is to be 8.55. Zed, you always have great insight. Is there anything you want to say here about the flight?
Yes. So, for the students who are listening, about the flights, this is an amazing rate, for a round trip flight to, London and back to San Francisco for 8.55. I just returned from India and, you know, airline prices are increasing across the board, mainly because of the high oil prices. So the fact that AIFS has been able to secure this rate is something everyone should jump on. Under $1,000 is unheard of. I didn't think, maybe 10 years ago, I was used to seeing these rates. But now in this climate, 855 is a very, very good deal, especially the fact that it includes your airport transfer. So somebody will be there to pick you up at Heathrow Airport when you arrive in London. And when your program ends, someone will take you back to the airport. So it's a great deal.
Yeah, and it's a great option. If you've never traveled on your own before, I really recommend the group flight because of that pickup service at London and then bringing you back to the airport. It's a great option. And British Airways, I always love flying British Airways, so I love them. All right, so there are other additional options of what you can opt into for excursions. For example, there's an option to go up to Scotland to go see the city of Edinburgh, the Isle of Skye, and Loch Ness. It's a 4-day, 3-night trip, and you get to go up there through via the train, which is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And you get accommodations in student hostels. So hostels in Europe are great. They're clean, they're where you meet a lot of other people. They're usually centrally located. It's exactly what you need when you're traveling. Breakfast daily is included, and so is our evening meals. And you get this beautiful guided tour of the Scottish Islands and the islands of Scotland. I love Scotland. The Scottish are so funny. They are absolutely funny. They have a great sense of humor, and you get to see some of the iconic areas of Scotland. But again, it's optional. If that doesn't interest you, you don't need to purchase it, but it's just there as an option for our students to help get you together and get you out to see the world. Now, financial aid does and can play a role in this. So students can use their financial aid to pay for program fees. Super important, as you guys know, to make sure your FAFSA application for next academic year is completed. So if you haven't done that already, make sure you get that on the top of your to-do list. And then you can work with our local financial aid specialist, which is highlighted here at the top, um, or at your college to make sure that you have the best plan for your financial aid. I have to say, I'm really impressed with how our district tries to work with students to make sure that we meet the flexibility of your financial aid and a payment plan as well, so that we try to meet you where you are, so that you can afford to go on this trip. Zed, is there anything you want to add? You always have such great things.
Yeah, so when you think of financial aid, as Professor Nance mentioned, it follows you to London. So it doesn't stay here in the Bay Area. For example, I was a Pell Grant recipient, 20 something years ago. If I received the Pell Grant in the spring semester and then on my financial aid profile, it said I was going to receive, 2,500 or more in the fall semester, that money would be dispersed to me in the fall semester while I'm in London to use that. And AIFS works with students. So if you are receiving, let's say, that 2,500 from a Pell Grant or any other grant that you're receiving for financial aid, your payment would be deferred until you receive that money. You just have to complete some forms signed by the director of financial aid at your college. So if it's CSM, you'd go to Claudia Menjivar, who's the director of financial aid there. If it's Cañada, you'd go to Brianna Castro, who's mentioned here. And if it's Skyline, you'd go to Ari Sockner, who is the financial aid director. But it's tied to your home college and your financial aid person. But yeah, your financial aid goes with you to London. So that's one of the benefits of this study abroad program is you are not, financial aid doesn't stay here. It goes with you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's why I'm so glad you're here. There are also options to apply for scholarships, and many of our students will do this and will apply for more than one. So I'll give you some where you could start and some additional resources. So AIFS itself has ambassador scholarships. There's one $1,000 award and two $500 awards that are limited just to our consortium. You have to have 12 or more units completed without at least a 2.5 GPA. So that's yet another option to help reduce those fees. So ask your study abroad advisor for details. Now, the Gilman Scholarship has already closed right now, but I still want to plant that seed for you in case you're thinking of other programs to apply for outside of London. The Gilman Scholarship is for Pell Grant recipients, so U.S. citizens. And our district, again, has done, and Zed has done phenomenal work at getting students great support to apply for the Gilman Scholarship. It's a great opportunity for our students. Our students have won it, and it's a substantial amount of funds. But it must be noted that no one scholarship is going to cover the entire cost of the program. So it really is planning ahead to apply to different areas or different types of scholarships to help reduce that financial side. There's also the Fund for Education Abroad, or FEA, for U.S. citizens and permanent residents. But there's a lot of other scholarships out there. Some of the great resources is a website called Student Scholarships. It's the largest scholarship database out there, and it has a variable deadlines, even listed by month, I believe. FastWeb is well known for unique college scholarships and other financial grants. And FinAid is out there, so it's more financial aid and scholarships. There's even Career One Stop provided by the U.S. Department of Labor. And when you go to that website, on the right, all you see is like the month. So if you go right now, it's like March, 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 March. There's so many deadlines. And I really recommend it. When I was a student, I mean, I hate to say it, back then we didn't have as much internet access. And I would make a list of all the like what could I apply to this month and what could I apply to next month. And I would just constantly work on it. And I'd get like a small $500 scholarship here and a small, scholarship here, but over time it really added up. There's also a unique website called Go Overseas. It has a ton of scholarships and grants just for study abroad this year. So there are a lot of resources out there, and most students will combine multiple scholarships. So make sure you really think about applying to multiple. Zed, I feel like you could say something here too.
Yes, so for the AIFS Ambassador Scholarships, those are just for SMCCD students who apply for London. So each district, AIFS gives this award of $2,000. And, so if you have applied for the program, you are eligible to apply for this scholarship. And the competition is just in the cohort of 20 something students from SMCCD who will be going to London. In addition, we have the Study Abroad Fund at our foundation, the San Mateo Community Colleges Foundation. And when you apply for the AIFS Ambassador Scholarship, we also look out for those additional scholarships from our fund, which we fundraise to add funds into. For example, our India community travel is a fundraising program where we raised about $5,500 to go into the study abroad fund. And that's some of the money where students such as you can apply for that funding through the AIFS Ambassador Scholarships. So there is some additional money and scholarships that we will award for London students. And it ranges from $200 to $1,000 per student. And we aim to bridge that gap in funding, which so let's say you have found funding for everything except, that airfare. You're stuck on like, how do I come up with $855 for this airfare? Apply for the scholarship and specifically mention that this is the funding gap that you have, and then we will review those applications very seriously.
Great, thank you. Again, just so many resources for students. It's really a great program. All right. Now, students are really creative and they find different ways to fund study abroad, not just through scholarships and grants, but also through other means. So think about how between now and September, what lifestyle changes could you make? Like cutting down on expenses, if you have a birthday or a holiday coming up where you receive gifts, thinking about being intentional and saying you're not really looking for anything, you just need support. You would prefer support to go on this program financially. Some students have been very successful with various side hustles. So think about side jobs, sales, garage sales, gig work, selling things on Marketplace, all sorts of things. And some students have also been successful with crowdfunding. So things like GoFundMe, Zelle, Venmo campaigns. I always like to share when I studied abroad because, it was difficult for me to afford at the time. I would go to Cease Candy and buy their fundraising chocolate bars, and I would share them with my parents, with my brother, with my friends, and I'd take them to school and I'd sell them, and that profit would go towards what I was doing in Cambridge at that time. And also, just to kind of give a broader perspective on this, when if you actually wait to study abroad after you transfer to a university, it will likely cost you more money. So you can see three row examples here of different programs at the CSU, UC, and USC, varying from $17,000 for a semester program up to over $50,000. So again, just kind of reiterating that even though London is an expensive city, it's a very reasonable program and it's a good value program and an exceptional life-changing transformative experience. I can't say that enough. Such a great opportunity. All right, so eligibility requirements. All applicants must be 18 years old or older by departure, so by the time we leave in September, have at least a 2.25 GPA. If you're not sure, go double check with your transcripts in WebSmart now. Have completed at least 12 or more college level units. And then we go through an application process. So those are eligibility. We are also very intentional about thinking and just kind of planting a seed about, is this experience right for me? Study abroad is super exciting, but there's also going to be some challenges involved. And we are here as a support team for you every step of the way. So before you apply, if you need to talk with one of us, we're happy to talk things through you or through with you. Any accommodations you may have as a student with a disability. So if you are registered with the Disability Resource Center or some sort of a DSPS, but just know that myself and my faculty colleagues were all professionals and experienced instructors. So if you have accommodations for in the classroom, we will know how to honor those while we're in London. If you have any health, dietary, or accessibility needs, again, just talk with us. If you're like, oh, I wonder if this is going to prohibit me from being in the program, speak with us first. AIFS and the district really find ways to make sure that you are accommodated in the program. So, also think about any medications or anything that may impact your experience, but we're happy to speak with you. Why does this matter? We want to set you up for success. Think about housing. If you have a mobility or a physical disability, We want to think about what's the best housing option for you that we have. If we're doing a tour, that tour of London, we'll also think about accessibility there for you. It doesn't mean you can't apply. It means we want to help you feel successful in being in this program. So I'm just trying to say that we're great partners with you here. Is that anything you want to add there? Okay.
Yes, I would say, really for students, study abroad is a unique experience. For some students, study abroad, may not be the right time. If you're thinking, oh, I want a break from all the chaos that is going on here, and you're struggling with mental health issues, and you're thinking, oh, if I go to London, I'll get a break from that. That doesn't work out for a lot of students because you are putting yourself outside of your comfort zone. So really, before you apply, speak with if there are any accommodations that you can use. Are there any health, dietary, accessibility needs? London is fairly a very accessible location. It's not like Italy where there's a lot of cobblestone around, but it's fairly accessible. But that said, the ADA, American Disabilities Act, does not apply abroad in London. So, we shouldn't go there expecting, oh, why isn't this ADA compliant? Because you are abroad and we are at the mercy of the jurisdiction there to what they have over there. But we do want to make sure you are set up for success, and you have a great time in London, learning. This is a learning experience. It's called study abroad, but it's actually learning abroad. You're learning a lot about yourself, and you're learning, how to, benefit your future career, your personal life. Everything comes into play. The best thing students The most common thing we've heard from students about study abroad is that it changed their life, in terms of how they perceive their world in the United States, and then comparing it to their experience abroad. So definitely don't miss out on this opportunity.
Great, thank you. If for any reason you think maybe London isn't the right time for you, do know again, remember the district has such a great portfolio of programs that in the spring we also offer a full semester length program in Florence, Italy. There's student apartment options. Again, a lot of planning into making sure the classes are CSU and UC transferable so you move forward with your academic goals while you're there. There's, of course, the Italian life and culture class, a lot of different scenic visits and excursions, cooking classes, soccer matches. I mean, it's great. I think you should do both, but I'm biased. So, another great program, and we offer uh, faculty-led short-term programs throughout the year as well. So there are a lot of options out there for you. So the next steps, the general application deadline is until June 3rd. However, I'd really recommend that if you are serious about the study abroad program in London, that you apply now. There is a district application on the London website. And once you submit your district application, that will then trigger an invitation to have a 30-minute Zoom interview with me, where I'll just ask you some questions, get to understand more about your interest in the London program, and if you're accepted into the program after the interview, then you'll be invited to formally apply through the AIFS application. And only at that point in time is a deposit of $450 due. Then you can set up a payment plan using your financial aid or other payment plan with a final payment deadline in July. So again, the program is really built for success for student applicants. And it is, it's a very transformative once in a lifetime opportunity for most students. So if you have any questions, we're here right now. We're going to open it up to questions either in chat or you could raise your hand.
Mind if I jump in?
Go ahead.
Okay. Question is, suppose there is a number of those costs I can cover for myself. For example, quartering, personal expenses, and flights. May I subtract, do you guys cost segregate or no?
Zed, do you want to address that?
I'm not sure I understood the question. Can you elaborate?
Of course. Say, for example, I do not need a room and board. It is covered because I have family living in London. Two, personal expenses, obviously that's on me.
Mhm.
Say I have an Oyster card that's already paid for and I can use. Would I be able to subtract those costs from the cost of your program or no?
So the first part, yes. If you have, family in London, and you can request what is known as an own housing fee with AIFS. So they will then, once it's after you apply, you notify them, hey, I don't need the AIFS housing. Can you deduct that amount from my program fee? And then they will send you what the own housing program fee is. The Oyster card and things, that's something we'd have to check with AIFS if you already have one, for them to, remove that cost as well. But that's up to AIFS's decision. But I know the housing, they've done that in the past. Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Thank you for your question. Are there
Absolutely.
are there any other questions we could help answer?
Let me see. Do you guys, is it common for professors in the UK to use access codes for online learning, or are they mostly textbook based still?
So all four faculty members are from Northern California. So we will be using kind of customary things here. If you mean access codes in terms of like Pearson, is that what you mean, Pearson or?
Yes, the like.
Yeah, so I can only speak for myself. I don't use Pearson. I use free open education textbooks, and I create all my own homework and assignments and all that stuff. I don't use Pearson
Hmm.
Labs or anything like that. I cannot speak for my colleagues. English, history, and theater, I would guess not, but I can't be 100% definite on that. I hope that helps answer that for you.
Okay, so that would be an individual between me and professor question.
Yeah. And when I see them again, I'll try to ask. But typically you'll see that I don't see that so much in English courses or history courses, and I doubt in theater. I would see that more in like math, accounting, technology, trying to think about other disciplines. But it's a good question, but I don't think that's going to be the majority of what you see.
Fair point.
Yeah.
And the full list of where can I find the full list of classes offered through the program at
Yeah.
the location?
Yeah, sure. Let's so SMCCD. The links in the chat, but oops, London. On the London website, which I'm trying to navigate to here, you'll see information like those program dates. The application link is up here on the right and a program brochure. Here's the courses offered. So you can see on the right-hand side, there was a link that said courses offer or button. And that's this document. I can also put this in the chat for you if that's helpful. That's a
Hmm.
direct link to the one pager. But you could find all that online or just click on the link in the chat.
Hmm.
I'm going to take some questions from the chat.
Sure.
These were direct message to me, but I think it would benefit everyone else. It says earlier the slide said that students need to pay normal college tuition. Is that on top of the 10,000 abroad fee? I thought community colleges for 2 years of high school graduates. Um, so the answer to that is yes, the um, tuition is on top of the program fee of $10,000. However, if you are a resident of San Mateo County, then tuition is free for the business classes that you're taking. If you decide to take any of the classes from Santa Rosa Junior College, Diablo Valley College, or American River College in Los Rios, then you are paying the $46 per unit, which is the California Community College tuition um, for those classes, for those two classes. But if you're a resident of San Mateo County, then you're not paying that $46 per unit. The other question was, do some students do study abroad twice, such as one in England and another one somewhere else? If so, are many of the classes offered abroad transferable to CSU transfer? So that's a multiple question. I'll answer that. Yes, we've had some students do London in the fall and then Florence in the spring. If you have the funds or you've applied for lots of scholarships and you have financial aid, by all means, you're more than welcome to do two of them, 2 semesters abroad. Just meet with your academic counselor to ensure that those classes offered in London and in Florence meet your student education plan goals so that they are moving you forward, in getting to transfer to a four-year university or complete your associate's degree from one of our three colleges. The follow-up question to that was, if so, are many of the classes offered abroad transferable to CSU? Yes, all the classes offered in the Study Abroad Consortium are fully transferable to the California State University system. We also have a transfer sheet guide on our website that you can take to your academic counselor, and that shows which classes are fully transferable to the University of California system and the CSU system as well.
Great, thank you. And to comment on, can you do more than one program? I'll even say that because we've talked about how people who have studied abroad really find it such a great event. But even myself, when I studied abroad through my community college, it was a big deciding factor in where I went for my graduate degree. And I ended up moving to London and later to Thailand, doing a year and a half abroad with study abroad to get my master's. So again, it's usually such a satisfying experience that people really love it. So I encourage you to consider London and if not one of our other programs. Any other questions that you have, Zed, on your side, or anybody else would like to type or mic on and ask a question? It's a great time.
I do have a question. How many of you are super excited for London and ready to submit your application? Because I will say the classes are filling up, and we do want our students to get priority in getting those classes for London. So you can just type in the chat, yes, I'm applying, or raise your hand, and we'll anticipate to receive your application.
All right. We will hang out for any remaining questions, and you can always get a hold of us. Let me put this back on here.